we are at the Trujillo Adobe, the oldest structure in the city of Riverside. I'm Nancy Melendez, and I'm here with my cousin Darlene Trujillo Elliott, and we're going to give you a short tour of the Trujillo Adobe. The Adobe is currently owned by the Riverside County Parks Department, and you can see a few improvements have been made. You can see directly in front of you the Eagle Scout project that made a seating area and staging area so we can have events here with the Adobe. If I pan around this way, you'll see the second Eagle Scout project that was a display bulletin board. And there's the second one over there. Okay.
And this is the Trujillo Adobe site. We were able to get this, I think it's been 4 years, Nancy?
Yeah.
That the Riverside County reinstalled the sign for us so that people could actually drive by and know it was here.
On the outside of this structure, you see a mural that was done in partnership with Riverside Art Museum's Creative Horizons program, where we had youth learn the story of La Placita de los Trujillos and the Trujillo Adobe, and then construct a mural on what they thought the Adobe might have looked like and the whole area might have looked like in the 1840s right here in Riverside.
And notice that they captured the pepper trees. So the pepper trees that are here on the property were actually the original trees that have been with the Adobe. And so you can tell how old they are, but they are part of the history of the Adobe as well.
Here's another pepper tree, a very old pepper tree, and the outhouse was underneath this pepper tree. I remember that. Don't ask me why. We are being encroached upon by warehouses and other commercial type uses. This block building was built by the county when they took over as the owner of the Adobe for storage. In front of us now is a portable restroom business. That was never there. That was actually part of the Adobe land for as long as I can remember.
Yep.
Somehow, in the past 20 to 30 years, this land has been taken away. You can see that the grounds are pretty dry right now. Prior to the pandemic, the grounds were looking good. The Eagles projects had just been completed. We had a whole year's worth of activities planned for children in our segundo sábados with crafts and
Tours.
Yep, and we had a barbecue plan for the summer months so where people could come and enjoy the area. But you know what? We'll just do that next year. Well, now we're going to take a chance and go right inside the Adobe and show you what's left of it. It started out as a simple Adobe structure, rectangular in shape, 4 walls, windows, a front door, and a back door. So now it's enclosed.
Bless our home.
Bless our home. And this is indeed our home. La casa de nuestros padres. The home of our ancestors.
So we're coming in through the front door right here. And here at the front door, you can actually see where the damage had happened with severe rains. Because it's Adobe brick, they're almost melting right there, you can see. And so that's why we have this structure that's on, overhead to kind of preserve as much as we can going forward. This is just a reminder of why we do the Tamale Festival. 2010, not a lot of people knew about the oldest structure in Riverside. This history just wasn't getting told. And so we pride ourselves in, now everybody knows where the Trujillo Adobe is. And we've gotten it on the 10 top Latino sites worth saving, historic sites worth saving. And we're continuing to, again, not only work on the Adobe, but we're also in partnership with the Northside residents to actually do a zoning for the whole neighborhood. So this is going to benefit them environmentally, through having grocery stores and being able to, again, have pride in this community as well. So we're actually really excited that the Adobe is going to be part of that Northside specific project.
I think it was really an incentive,
yes,
that the neighborhood found a source of
yes,
pride that the oldest structure in Riverside is in the north side, and yet the north side was probably the most neglected neighborhood in the city. So
Right.
it has been a rallying point for neighbors, for descendants such as ourselves, and really for anyone who's interested in history, archaeology, and especially local history.
We pride ourselves again in just being able to partner with our community and advocate for not only the Adobe but for the larger neighborhood and the region of the Inland Empire. So we're really excited about all the things that are happening. So
We are.
and that's because of all the support for the Tamale Festival.
Thank you, Tamale Festival. Yes.
Just because you're eating tamales, that tamale is again helping us preserve this history for the next generation. I think people, when they come in here, they expect this grandiose home. Well, Adobes back then were very small and very simple. Again, 4 walls and a roof. Typical of an Adobe, the front door, and there would have been a back door that was straight shot out to the back. So that's just typical of an Adobe house. And you just pile in as many people as you can to live in here. Usually the kitchens were also outside. So as you said, we talked about the living room and the bedrooms. The kitchens were outside because they cooked outdoors, and the bathrooms were outside as well.
Here we are inside the Trujillo Adobe, built in 1862. Now this back wooden rail was where the back wall once was. We have lost that, and you can see the Adobe bricks. Again, more reinforcements holding up the walls. That was a bay window. Let's look up at the bricks at the very top there. You can really see the original Adobes. All right, that was the side window. This room here was a bedroom. There's a front window. There's this particular window here. This side of the Adobe is in pretty good shape. You can see that there is plaster over the Adobes. And we come from a long line of construction and trades in our family. And so when renovations were made, they were just made right over the original Adobe. So now let's take a look up here, and you can see where the plaster is just covering the Adobe bricks. Some of them have melted into one another. So on this side of the front door was the living room, la sala. This is where everyone gathered, where perhaps they ate, where perhaps they had family discussions and talked about what had happened during the day. And the front door that we just came through. And you'll notice it's not as tall as our normal doors are now. I guess folks were shorter in those days. Right. Of this 1862 Adobe that housed generations of descendants of Lorenzo and Maria Trujillo, who walked along the old Spanish Trail in 1842, 1,200 miles to settle here in Riverside. Actually, their first destination was Rancho San Bernardino with the Lugo brothers, who had promised them and 10 other families property that they could own. They were truly in search of the American dream. That was not to be, and they were ready to go home, back to Abiquiu, New Mexico, and Juan Bandini was a friend of Lorenzo Trujillo and said, "Hey, I've got some land just a few miles down the river. Come and settle there and help me, and I will give you this land." And indeed he did keep his promise. And as they say, the rest is history.
The rest was a thriving community. Lorenzo Trujillo knew that education was important. So the first thing that they did is they also built a one-room school in this area. The other thing was religion, and so they built a church. At first it was just an arbor where they could come together. And then eventually they built the church. The first church again washed away, and the second one again built over by the Aguamanza Cemetery. This is our earliest part of Riverside's history. We're right close to the Santa Ana River, which water brings us life. And so, every city in California, every county in California was carved on where water was.
When our ancestors reached here, of course, they settled, they built the adobe, but you need to have water, right? To grow your crops, to feed your livestock, to drink, to cook, all the things that we take for granted. Well, the first thing they did was dig some canals, zanjes, from the Santa Ana River to the first adobe. They were very successful at it. The community was thriving. Now, 30 years later, in about 1870, when John North and Sam Evans came this way to form the city of Riverside, they too needed water for the orange industry. So they went down to the Santa Ana River and put a flag on the riverbank and said the water belonged to them. Well, this was news to all our ancestors and to the whole community of La Placita de los Trujillos and Aguamanza, because they'd been using this water for over 30 years. So a lawsuit ensued. The judge decided that our little humble residents owed $2,000 in gold coin to the city of Riverside to use the water. Our family leader at the time was a strong woman named Peregrina Trujillo. And Peregrina went around and talked to all the families in La Placita and Aguamanza, collected what she could from them, and came up with the $2,000 in gold coin, which, by the way, is over $2 million today. And the Trujillo Water Company was formed. And so that guaranteed this community the rights to water, to live, to grow their crops, to feed their livestock, to drink, to cook, to bathe, to eat. And that Trujillo Water Company still exists today on the books of Riverside Public Utilities. They have an annual meeting every June. 96% of the shares are owned now by the city of Riverside, but there are still 4 brave souls who own their water shares in the Trujillo Water Company. But in that vicinity, before, when it was privately owned by the last Trujillos to live here, John and Sarah Trujillo, my great-grandparents, there was actually a chicken coop there where the chickens and rabbits were. There was a small wooden structure that was actually a kind of a casita. And I know my aunt and uncle John and Alberta Trujillo lived in that for a good long time until they moved to Grand Terrace. So we wanted to share with you today just a little bit about our history, about the adobe, and why we do the Riverside Tamale Festival. So come on out again, April 24th, 2021. Eat lots of tamales, listen to some really great music, and help us out.
And tell the story. Yeah, the reason we've been able to be so successful is when you eat tamales and you're having, your food with your family, you get to share those stories. So continue sharing those stories, and we'll see you at the next Riverside Tamale Festival.
For one another. Feel one another.
If you'd like to come out and see this in person for yourselves, you can contact Darlene or myself at info@SpanishTownHF.org to arrange a private tour, again, when we can do those type of things. But plan ahead, and we'd love to share this history with you. There's so many stories to be told.